Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lights on Data show. My name is George Furican, your host. And today we're joined by Andreas Welsch. He's an internationally recognized AI leader, advisor, and the best-selling author of the AI Leadership Handbook. With over 23 years of experience, including key roles at SAP, Andreas has been instrumental in helping Fortune 500 companies turn technology hype into real business outcomes. And in this episode, we'll really dive into the importance of collaboration between business and data teams and how to navigate the complexities of AI implementations. Andreas will share insights from his book and valuable advice for organizations embarking on their AI journey. Welcome, Andreas.
Hey, George, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Now, I do wonder how it is to be on the other end of receiving the questions because you're also the host of What's the Buzz, a podcast, and I know you've done quite a few of these as well. But how does that feel?
Oh, it feels great. I always love, collaborating with other creators in this space and other thought leaders because, everybody adds a different perspective and a different
Mm.
angle to it. So that makes it really interesting.
Well, happy to hear. So, Andreas, besides being the host, you're also the founder and chief AI strategist at Intelligence Briefing, and now you're also the best-selling author of the AI Leadership Handbook. I don't even know how you found the time because you're also so active on LinkedIn and social media, and you're posting a lot of really wonderful content there. But I do want to know about the book first. What really motivated you to write it, and who's it for?
Sure. So, by the way, this is what it looks like, the AI Leadership Handbook. In the process of writing it, I've interviewed more than 60 AI leaders and hands-on experts on
Wow.
my podcast and live stream, What's the Buzz?
Hmm.
And I've asked them how they have turned technology hype into business outcome. Because we see a lot of times that, there's this huge excitement among technologists and software vendors and the whole tech industry to jump on new topics and new technologies. And AI, and certainly generative
Right.
AI, is a great example of that. But then when it comes to actually making it real, the question for a lot of leaders and especially new leaders in this space becomes, well, how do I actually do this? Right? And I've seen a lot of leaders approach it as a data project or as an IT project, and typically that's not the best way to go about it. Typically, these approaches are doomed to fail because AI is a lot more complex, right? It's a lot more about um, experimentation, a lot more about understanding upfront what is the business value you're trying to get out of this. How am I going to bring my team members, my people along in our company and rally them behind this idea that AI is here to help us, again, not here to replace us. And yes, there is technology, and we need to be very much aware of the technology and all the advancements, but
Hmm.
there, it's one of 9 aspects that I've described in the book based on the conversations with top AI leaders.
Right. And of course, one of them being data as well, that we need to look into the data aspect and we need to take care of it. We need to manage it. We need to curate it, make sure it's of high quality. So then when it feeds our AI model, we're actually getting good stuff in there.
Absolutely, and I think that was one of the big and the first big realizations that AI leaders made early on in the generative AI hype, right? At,
Hmm.
at the beginning, everybody got so excited about ChatGPT and these tools and how you can prompt them, and hey, you give them a few examples here and some details, but then people realized very very quickly that hey, without data, without quality data, our own business data, these things are just spitting out pretty generic information. So
Definitely.
right, that's where data comes in, and why it's so important to have it, and again why it's so important that data teams work very closely with the business, with IT, with the AI team. In many cases they might even be one and the same, right, depending on your organization. But that the connection and understanding where's the business value, what are we actually trying to do and to influence, that's critically important.
Oh, I agree. And, it's something that I've noticed at the conferences that I've attended in the past couple of years. Last year, like you said, there was that whole ChatGPT hype. So there were a lot of vendors and presentations that talked about AI, value of AI, and you could hear everybody was doing AI or wanted to do AI. And this year, I've noticed that shift that you were mentioning, that they're looking more towards data. They're understanding the importance of good data management and making sure that, again, the AI model is fed good quality data. So that being said, I think there's still a lot of leaders out there that when they think of new AI projects, they're not going to the data teams first. They're sort of last in line. How can that be changed?
So one of the big findings, not only from talking to more than 60 leaders, but also through my own experience working with Fortune 500s and at SAP, was that it does take a lot of time to get access to the data, to even find the right data, and to your point, make sure that it's actually usable. So I think the sooner you start in that process by involving the data team, the better your chances of success are. So I think there are two ways to approach it and to look at it. One is certainly looking at it top down, right? Having that mandate as a senior leader in the organization with the mandate of AI. Make sure you connect with your data team if they're part of your organization. Again, that's even easier to loop them in from the very beginning. But also, if you're on the business side and you're looking to incorporate AI, make sure you reach out to the data team, see what data is even available, what do we have access to, what's the quality of our data, to your point as well. So top down, one way, the other one, bottom up. If you're in a data or AI role, I think you have the best foundation possible in this, day and age and age of AI, because you know what is really there and how to use the data, how to work with these models. And there, the opportunity that I see is reach out to the business, learn more about what does finance actually do, what are they doing in accounts receivable, what does procurement
Hmm.
actually do, how do they find the best suppliers, how do they evaluate them, can we help them based on the data that we have. So ideally, it works in both directions, but starting early and again involving both data and business teams is critical here.
Love it. And would you pick one over the other if if there's the choice, or they both need to happen in order for it to be successful?
So you need both of them. I think the sponsorship is very important from the top down.
Hmm.
Otherwise, many of us are seeing this day in and day out. You have a great idea, you put it forward. Maybe there's some hackathon or some innovation competition, right? Maybe you get a pat on your shoulder, great job, and then this thing dies somewhere on a SharePoint, in a PowerPoint, that nobody looks at again. And that's the worst thing that can happen. So I think you do need that top-down support, that there's a realization, hey, this is important, we need to do something. And the ideas bottom up from people that are seeing this on the ground day in and day out.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, so many programs, and not just AI projects or AI programs. If they don't have that sponsorship, they just die.
Yes.
And which again talks about the importance of having good communication skills and making sure that you're building that business case, you're convincing leadership to give you that support. But it's definitely easier if that support is already there, and the C-level suit or already understands the importance of it, and they provide you with the sponsorship, and you can go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one important realization for me has been that data doesn't exist in a vacuum. Right? We
Mm,
have data. Data is created in the process of doing business, or in a business process. Again, it could be in finance, could be in procurement, or in HR, or wherever else. So understanding, why is that data created? Is it what we need to build our model, to to put it into a RAG system, for example, to extract information from documents or other data sources? Why are we doing this? What's the business context? I think becomes critically important there again, as well, to understand what do we actually do with the data, and how can we make it more useful.
right. And you do need involvement from the data teams and the business teams on this to properly work together. You need the business to provide you with the context and a lot of useful information about the data, and then the technical team, the data team, to give you those technical insights and even some of their findings of what they're seeing in there, and how those two can work together. So that collaboration is definitely key. And from your experience, what can that collaboration look like?
So one of the things that that I did at SAP, and also other leaders that I interviewed for the AI Leadership Handbook said, was to look at something like a community of multipliers or a community of practice. So meaning identify team members in your organization that are strong on technology and data, that have an affinity for these kinds of topics, and that are eager to learn, for example, to learn about the business. And on the other hand, identify multipliers in the business that have a very strong standing, good understanding of the business, and are eager to learn about how technology can help them evolve the business, and really bring them together. So you can create these communities of multipliers to help teach more about what is AI, what can you use it for, how does generative AI work, what's the role of data in building these systems, and get ideas that way, right? So coming back to the bottom-up approach, like this community can help generate ideas that they feed back to your teams, so you can evaluate them and pursue them. But really, this strong connection again between data, AI, and business teams on that other side to really forge that strong connection is key.
Yeah, definitely. I can speak from the data team's perspective is that we definitely also know all the ins and outs of maybe the accuracy of it, the messiness of it, or some inconsistencies that we're noticing in there. And with the help of the business, we can also sort it out and improve it and see, what is worth to invest in and curate better.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Having the right data for the right use cases. And I think that's only getting more important also when we look at the favorite buzzword of the summer, AI agents.
Hmm.
There's this realization again that, hey, without data, without business data, my own business data, these things are probably not going to be very useful. But once we can connect it to data sources that we have, once it can draw conclusions, once it can learn from that data, or once it can emulate that data, that changes the game. All of a sudden, these new tools and capabilities are becoming a lot more valuable and a lot more capable in that sense too.
Definitely. Are there any examples from your vast experience that kind of stand out that maybe illustrate successful AI projects and some of the lessons learned from them?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate a couple of years ago to work with a large biopharma company on the topic of finance, and specifically matching incoming payments to open invoices. So classic machine learning use case before generative AI. And what was really noticeable there was that the customers team involved the business stakeholders very, very early in that process. So um,
Mm,
finance specialists doing this invoice matching on a daily basis, download a bank statement, see what has been paid, compare it with open invoices that we have in our system, and basically clear out, say, yes, we've received this payment, we've received a partial payment. Oh, here's a mismatch. Now, why are we looking at something like machine learning? Well, we want to help you spend time on other things that are more valuable, things that could be you following up with the customer to ask why they continuously short pay, or how we can help them make payments on time, run analysis, run reports, really dig into the problems, as opposed to just matching A to B. So there the approach was really to loop in these finance specialists from the very beginning to share with them, hey, what is the purpose? Why are we looking at something like AI and machine learning? Again, not to replace you, but to take out a good chunk of the busy work that you're doing, so you can focus on other things that we believe help us move the business forward. And that's worked really, really well. Again, coming back to something like community of multipliers, winning that support, winning that engagement, and communicating openly and transparently.
hmm yeah, so important to involve those stakeholders early on. And I think oftentimes we sometimes forget, we get super excited of this idea that we might have to build this new machine learning model, and we forget to include the end user of it, the main benefiter, until later on when they're coming in. It's like, well, okay, I don't think this is exactly what I need, or you forgot about these particular requirements and aspects, and we kind of need to redo everything. So yeah, it's important to involve them early on, and for them to feel part of the project and have really that hands-on experience on how they're contributing to its end result.
Absolutely, and I think a key aspect of that is also being sincere in the approach that you take in how you communicate. Right, it's one way to say, hey, we're not going to replace these jobs, but secretly, we will. So if you know that is what you're not planning on doing, if you're sincerely wanting to
Hmm.
cut out this busy work and help people again focus them on things that move the business forward, then communicate that with clarity and with conviction. And I think you cannot over communicate, especially there, because there's a lot of concern and a lot of fear in the workplace and in the workforce these days, especially because of AI and increased automation, that you know, I don't really know what this thing is doing. I don't know if my job is going to be impacted or how it changes my role. My company is rolling out some kind of AI thing, like maybe not the Microsoft Copilot. I think people who find it valuable see that there's merit in it. It helps you with your daily tasks. But once it comes more closer, more specific to the role that you have, there's a lot of
Hmm.
concern and a lot of uncertainty. So as a leader, your role is to help bring as much clarity as you can to that change management. And by the way, I also think it's fair to say I don't know, right? Or I don't know right now, but we're going to figure this out, or we're going to figure this out together. Just to reassure your teams what you are seeing, and again with sincerity why you're doing it.
Love it. Yeah, I completely agree that we need to create that transparency, and we do that through really good and thoughtful communication. And that's definitely a skill that leaders need to have, especially as they're navigating the complexities of AI implementations. Are there any other key qualities that you think are essentials for leaders to possess in these cases?
So what I think is becoming a lot more critical is really this interpersonal aspect, and empathy. Right, everybody is on a different journey and on a different trajectory. Everybody has different thoughts and concerns. So as you're leading your own teams, that is something to take into account. Now, if you're in a data or IT or AI role. Now, the same is true on the business side as well, right? Hey, AI is supposed to help us automate things. Again, what does it mean if I'm in finance? What does it mean if I do match incoming payments to open invoices and check if they have been cleared correctly? Now there's AI. So again, they're leading with empathy. But I think also then on a leadership level, being able to communicate not just the technology, but the value, the business value is very important. And it's a skill set that you can develop over time. Um, Many of us that have started in technology focused roles again are very strong in that part, in very strong understanding of technology and data and how do you build these systems. But we need to learn more about the business. How can we actually use these systems to automate a process, to increase revenue, to reduce cost? What does it actually mean? What are the KPIs that a procurement organization is measured by, or an HR organization is measured by? And on the other hand, again, through the dialogue with our peers in HR, in procurement, in finance, help them understand how can data and AI help them drive their business forward.
Beautifully said. Well, thanks so much for that. Any advice that you would give to organizations that are just starting their AI journey?
So, it's never too late to start. If you're starting, you've already made the first step. I think many organizations are actually adopting a wait and see kind of mode, and we need to get more information. We need to try this out maybe, and at some point we'll get to this. And I think the best thing you can do right now is actually get hands-on. um, Look at trials, look at proofs of concept, at pilots, see how you can make some of those tools available to your group of early adopters, the ones that you know are eager to get their hands on AI and work with these tools. And then make an informed decision. It starts with things like guidelines and policies. What do we want to
Hmm.
use this for? How do we want to use this? How can we use this in a way that's ethical and compliant, that doesn't expose our company to data privacy, data protection type risks? For example, how can we build these things in a way that they are robust? Or even better yet, what kind of software are we already using that has AI embedded, but we just don't know about it? So taking an inventory of your software portfolio and say, well, looks like this product has it, this has it. Do we need a license for it? Do we already have a license or a subscription for it? Can we turn it on in a sandbox and try it out? Does it add value? Is it something we actually need in our business? Because the change management part around it, again, communicating with your teams that, hey, here's some change coming that's AI driven, but it actually helps you do something better or faster than before. That needs to happen no matter what. So you don't always need to build your own solutions. Large vendors are doing that part for you. And it's usually a good starting point to see what's already available that we're not making use of yet.
Right. Love it. But yeah, we do need to take ownership of that change management piece, do it internally as much as we can. And yeah, think of the communication aspect, the training, the maybe rewards, or yeah, and definitely, like you said, communicate the impact and as much as possible and as much as we know of, and be transparent and truthful. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Andreas, for putting the lights on all these best practices and pieces of advice on navigating the complexities of AI implementations. And for anybody that did not get their copy yet, please go to aileadershiphandbook.com/order to get yours today.
Exactly. Wonderful. George, thank you so much for having me on the show. It was awesome. Great conversation.
It was great having you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.